You keep wondering if it's all in your head. Why this person? Why this pull? Why this peace you can't explain? You've tried to move on, silence your mind, distract your heart, and yet something keeps bringing you back. Not obsession, not fantasy. Something deeper, something sacred. And today, you're about to understand why. There comes a moment in every chosen one's life when love stops feeling random and starts feeling guided. When something deep inside you whispers what your mind has been too afraid to admit. When a face, a voice, a presence refuses to fade no matter how hard you try to quiet it. And in that quiet tension between doubt and desire, you begin to sense that this connection wasn't accidental, that this person didn't appear by chance, that something far greater than coincidence has been trying to speak to you through the very emotions you've been trying to ignore. You've questioned yourself. You've pushed the feeling away. You've wondered whether it was imagination, attachment, or hope disguised as intuition. Yet the pull remains, stronger than before, because God has been moving beneath the surface, aligning two hearts that weren't ready at the same time, healing wounds that would have sabotaged something sacred, preparing both of you for a bond that is more than romance, more than timing, more than anything you've ever experienced. And today, as you listen, a clarity will begin to rise inside you. A clarity that explains why your spirit recognizes what your mind still tries to understand. Because in this video, we are going to uncover 7 divine confirmations God uses to reveal when a connection is not just emotional, not just human longing, but heaven-sent, purpose-driven, and written into your journey long before you realized it. And before we continue, if this message is already stirring something inside you, give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and comment 99. Because biblically, 99 represents the moment before completion, the final step before the promise arrives, and today you are stepping into that revelation. The first proof, a deep, unexplainable peace around that person. There is a specific kind of peace that can't be faked, forced, or manufactured. It doesn't come from comfort, chemistry, or familiarity. It comes from God, and it only appears when a connection carries a spiritual assignment. When it's a divine partner, peace replaces confusion in a way that almost startles you. It doesn't matter if the two of you aren't talking right now. It doesn't matter if there are unanswered questions. It doesn't matter if the situation looks complicated from the outside. Something inside you settles when you think of this person. Not because the circumstances are perfect, but because your soul recognizes a truth your mind hasn't caught up with yet. This peace is strange. It doesn't behave like ordinary emotion. It shows up in moments when you least expect it, when you're tired of hoping, when you're trying to let go, when you tell yourself you've moved on. And yet, in the quietest hour of your day, something soft, steady, and unmistakable rises within you, almost like a gentle reassurance. There is more here. Don't rush. Don't fear. Just listen. That peace isn't coming from memory. It's not nostalgia. It's not longing. It's spiritual recognition, the kind of recognition that doesn't shout, it echoes. And here's what makes it so powerful. Peace is God's signature. Chaos is never his voice. Whenever he marks something as part of your destiny, he surrounds it with a supernatural calm that overrides logic. Even when your mind says, "This makes no sense," your spirit answers, "But it feels right." It's the same peace that quiets your insecurities, the same peace that silences the fear of being hurt again, the same peace that allows you to breathe in moments when you should be anxious. It's like standing in the middle of a storm and realizing the winds can't touch you, because deep down you feel protected, guided, watched over, and pay close attention. This peace doesn't disappear when distance grows. It doesn't fade during silence. It doesn't crumble when you doubt yourself for a moment. It stays. It waits. It holds you. That's how you know it isn't emotional. It's divine. When God is preparing a partner for a chosen one, he plants a peace that refuses to die, because it's connected to a future he already sees, even if you don't. But here's where the mystery deepens. Sometimes that peace increases right before something in your life is about to shift. It's God's way of saying, stay close. Something is coming. And if you've been feeling that quiet certainty growing stronger lately, almost like the atmosphere around you is changing, then pay attention. Because the next proof, it will hit even deeper. And it will explain why this peace has been following you so persistently. The second proof, persistent thoughts that don't fade with time. When a connection is merely human, it dissolves. Time weakens it. Distance erases it. Life replaces it. But when a connection is divine, something entirely different happens. The more you try to silence it, the louder it becomes. You didn't choose to feel this. It chose you. Not as obsession, not as emotional dependency, not as a fantasy disguised as hope, but as divine persistence. A pull that doesn't ask for your permission, a memory that refuses to die, a presence that keeps knocking on your heart long after your mind tried to close the door. These persistent thoughts aren't chaotic. They don't arrive to torment you. They come as gentle waves, sudden, soft, unexpected, in the middle of your day while you're busy, distracted, convinced you've finally moved forward. There they are again. A moment, a detail, a feeling, a flash of connection that reminds you something between you two was never meant to be temporary. And the strangest part, these thoughts don't drain you. They steady you. They feel like reminders, not interruptions, like whispers, not noise. Almost as if heaven is trying to nudge you back towards something your destiny still requires. This is where many chosen ones get confused. They think, if it was from God, why didn't it work the first time? But divine stories rarely unfold in straight lines. God isn't just writing romance, He's shaping character, maturing souls, healing old wounds that would have destroyed the blessing. So instead of closing the book, He paused the chapter. He placed both of you in separate lanes, so each of you could grow in ways you never would have grown together at that time. The thoughts persist because the purpose persists. The connection lingers because the assignment hasn't been completed. And here's what makes this proof undeniable. Persistent thoughts from God do not feel like pressure. They feel like alignment. They return when something inside you shifts. They return when you level up spiritually. They return when the timing is inching closer. And sometimes, the thoughts come with a strange sensation, a quiet expectancy, almost like your spirit knows something is approaching long before your life catches up. That's not delusion. That's spiritual preparation. But perhaps the most telling sign is this. Every time you've tried to replace this person emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, nothing fits. Nothing connects the same. Nothing settles your spirit. Because when God places someone in your destiny, substitutes won't work. They may distract you for a moment, but they can't anchor you. It's like trying to force the wrong key into a lock only heaven can open. And just when you think you finally let it go, just when you convince yourself you're done trying to understand it, something happens. A dream, a sign, an unexpected reminder, and suddenly the connection resurfaces with even more clarity than before. That's when you realize the truth. This isn't your mind chasing someone. This is your soul refusing to abandon what God wrote into its blueprint. But before you get comfortable with that idea, hold on, because the next proof reveals something even deeper, something that exposes why your heart keeps returning even when your logic disagrees, and what God is doing on their side of the connection that you haven't seen yet. The third proof, mutual spiritual reflection. You both feel each other. There is a level of connection that no silence can break, no distance can dilute, and no fear can bury. It doesn't operate through logic or words or physical presence. It operates through spirit. And when God is the one weaving the bond, something extraordinary begins to happen. You feel them, and they feel you. Even if they don't admit it. Even if they try to bury it. Even if they pretend they've moved forward. Chosen connections are not one-sided. They are soul-mirrored. God allows both hearts to feel the pull, the ache, the awareness, the inner stirring that no distraction can silence. This reflection doesn't come through memories alone. It comes through moments that strike out of nowhere. You're living your day normally when suddenly their name, their energy, their presence flashes through your spirit with a force you can't explain. What you don't realize is that on the other side, they are experiencing the exact same thing, at the same moment, with the same intensity. Divine connections move in synchrony, even when the two souls are miles apart. It's not fantasy, it's resonance. Heaven is conducting a conversation between two hearts that haven't spoken. And here's what makes this proof so powerful. The other person begins to feel uncomfortable with their own denial. They start sensing a shift within themselves, an unusual heaviness when they try to distance themselves, an unexplainable warmth when they think of you, a sudden wave of emotion they weren't prepared to feel. They try to dismiss it, but it keeps coming back. Stronger, clearer, more insistent. Because God keeps placing your name in their spirit the same way He places theirs in yours. They remember you at unexpected moments because heaven keeps reminding them. This reflection shows up in subtle ways. Their mood shifts when yours does. They feel restless on days when your soul is unsettled. They think of you intensely, right when you're releasing something emotionally heavy. It's not telepathy, it's spiritual linkage. God doesn't connect chosen ones through emotion. He connects them through purpose. And purpose creates a spiritual corridor between two hearts, allowing them to sense each other even when everything seems silent on the surface. And if you've ever felt a sudden wave of peace for no reason, a strange comfort like someone is thinking of you, or a familiar warmth that hits you at the exact moment you needed strength, that's not imagination. That's their spirit reaching out. That's the divine thread tightening. That's God saying, you are not alone in this. They feel it too. What makes this even more mysterious is how the person tries to escape it. They distract themselves, they stay busy, they entertain noise, but the connection keeps rising, almost like a tide they can't stop. They might not show it, but something inside them is waking up. And that awakening is the beginning of the shift God has been preparing. But hold on, because what comes next goes even deeper. The fourth proof will reveal why this spiritual reflection exists, and why separation was never rejection, but a divine setup for something far bigger than either of you expected. The fourth proof, divine timing interference. The separation was necessary. The fourth proof is one of the hardest for a chosen one to accept, yet it carries the greatest divine intelligence. When God intends to unite two souls for a purpose greater than romance, He does not rush, He does not force, He does not build on unstable foundations. God doesn't unite incomplete souls, He separates them, not to punish, not to reject, not to end the story, but to refine each heart privately so the connection doesn't collapse under the weight of unhealed wounds. You may have thought the distance meant failure, but heaven was rewriting both of you behind the scenes. Separation feels brutal because it interrupts the momentum, the emotion, the hope. But divine interference isn't sabotage, it's surgery. God removes the version of you that would have ruined the blessing. He removes the version of them that wasn't capable of honoring what He entrusted. He slows the connection down so He can speed destiny up. And what felt like losing each other was actually the beginning of finding yourselves. The distance wasn't rejection, it was preparation. And listen, if this message is speaking directly to your spirit, if something in you feels like God is using this exact moment to reveal what you've been silently carrying, then you need to read Chosen Ones. Hurt in love, struggling in finances, yet God rebuilds everything. This ebook will help you understand your pain, break your cycles, and step into the restoration God prepared for you. Your healing starts the moment you open it. The link is in the pinned comment. Grab your copy now and let God continue what He already started inside you. This is where divine timing becomes painfully beautiful. While you were healing your fears, they were confronting their patterns. While you were learning to love without desperation, they were learning to feel without running. While you were breaking generational cycles, they were discovering emotional language they didn't even know they lacked. God was shaping two hearts separately so they would not destroy each other unintentionally. Timing is God's safeguard for chosen ones. It protects them from bonding prematurely and burying something sacred. If you look closely, you'll see the fingerprints of divine timing everywhere. The breakup didn't happen out of cruelty. It happened at the exact moment one of you hit an emotional barrier you weren't ready to communicate. The distance began when the connection reached a depth neither of you had the tools to handle. And the silence started when God needed space to speak to both hearts without interference. Separation was the chrysalis. Each of you cocooned in different battles, different lessons, different awakenings, until the soul matured enough to hold what heaven intended. But here's the hidden mystery. Divine pauses always come with subtle spiritual recalibrations. You may have noticed your mindset shifting, your desires purifying, your boundaries strengthening. You outgrew the insecurities that once made you question your worth. And on the other side, they began to see through illusions they once hid behind. They started feeling the emptiness of running from their own heart. They learned the difference between temporary comfort and meaningful connection. The separation didn't weaken the bond, it elevated it. And that's the proof. What breaks easily is human. What pauses and returns stronger is divine. God pauses what is divine, so it returns transformed, not broken. He delays the blessing so both souls can handle the magnitude of what He's preparing. And right now, whether you see it or not, the timing is shifting. Something in the atmosphere around your connection is aligning slowly, quietly, deliberately. But stay with me, because the next proof will reveal something even more shocking. the way God uses signs, dreams, patterns, and synchronicities to confirm the connection right when divine timing is about to move. Something is approaching, and you need to be ready. The fifth proof: repeated signs, dreams, and confirmations. The fifth proof is where heaven stops whispering and begins speaking in patterns. When a connection is divine, the more you try to ignore it, the louder the signs become. At first, you think it's coincidence, a random thought, a song that brings a memory, a moment of déjà vu. But then the patterns grow stronger. Dreams become vivid. Names appear unexpectedly. Words hit your spirit with surgical precision. It's as if the entire spiritual realm is aligning itself around one message. Pay attention. This connection matters. God speaks in patterns, especially when the heart refuses to listen. And divine signs never come from desperation. They come from orchestration. You may wake up from a dream that feels more like a conversation than imagination. You may hear something in a sermon, or a video, or a passing comment that mirrors the exact situation between you and that person word for word. You may see repeating numbers at the very moment their face crosses your mind. These aren't random signals. These are spiritual breadcrumbs placed along your path, guiding you toward a truth your logic can't yet comprehend. Notice how the signs always arrive at the perfect moment. When you're trying to let go, something appears that pulls your awareness right back. When you convince yourself it was all in your head, something undeniable confirms the connection again. When you start doubting your intuition, God sends a sign that shakes your doubt to the core. This is how divine communication works. The timing of the sign carries the message. Heaven speaks when you're about to misinterpret what God has been trying to show you all along. Dreams become another language God uses. These dreams feel different, deeper, clearer, almost prophetic. They carry emotion, revelation, clarity. Sometimes you see the person. Sometimes you feel their presence. Sometimes you witness symbolic messages you can't fully interpret, yet your soul understands instantly. The dream doesn't leave you confused. It leaves you awakened. It leaves you with a sense of knowing that can't be explained logically. That is not imagination. That is visitation, a spiritual encounter designed to reveal what the natural world can't. And then there are the coincidences. Except they're not coincidences. You think of them, and suddenly their initials appear. You're about to make a decision that would close the door forever, and a sign interrupts you. You try to distract yourself with noise, yet somehow everything you hear echoes the same message. The world may call it synchronicity, but chosen ones know these patterns come from a higher hand. Here's the truth hidden behind this proof. God will never force you into a relationship, but He will not allow you to misread a divine assignment. So He repeats the message until clarity becomes impossible to ignore. The signs attach themselves to your spirit because they are part of the script God wrote for your destiny. What keeps showing up is not random. It's revelation. It's alignment. It's God refusing to let you walk away from something He ordained. But before you settle into that comfort, hold on, because what comes next exposes something even more intense. The emotional awakening happening inside the other person, the shift they can't hide anymore, and the way God is preparing their heart behind the scenes. The sixth proof will shake you, and it might explain feelings you've been sensing without understanding why. The sixth proof: emotional awakening in the other person. The sixth proof reveals what you could never see but have always felt: a divine unraveling inside the other person. They tried to move on. They tried to bury the connection under distractions, routines, noise, conversations, even new faces. They tried to convince themselves the bond was temporary, seasonal, something they could simply outgrow. They tried to act like they didn't feel anything at all. But heaven does not let chosen ones forget what He Himself planted. And slowly, without warning, God begins removing the veils one by one. This awakening doesn't happen all at once. It happens in layers. First, they feel restlessness, that subtle internal friction that rises when the soul knows something is missing. Then come the memories, resurfacing not as nostalgia, but as truth. A moment you shared, something you said, a look they didn't understand at the time. Then comes the emotional contrast. They start noticing that nothing around them feels as deep, as peaceful, as familiar as what they had with you. They realize they were trying to replace something irreplaceable. And here's where it gets spiritually intense. The more they resist, the stronger the truth becomes inside them. Every time they push the feelings away, they return with greater clarity. Every time they try to distract themselves, God interrupts their distractions. Every time they try to convince themselves they don't care, their heart betrays their logic. This awakening is not punishment, it's revelation. God is opening their spiritual eyes to what their emotional fears once blinded them from seeing. At first, they feel confused. They don't understand why their heart keeps pulling them towards someone they tried to walk away from. They don't understand why they suddenly feel protective, nostalgic, curious, even emotional about you. They may feel guilt. They may feel longing. They may feel regret. But all of it is part of the divine breaking. The breaking of pride. The breaking of denial. The breaking of spiritual numbness. God is dismantling their walls from the inside, preparing them to finally recognize your value without the filters of fear or immaturity. And something even deeper begins to happen. Their soul starts waking up to what yours already knew. They begin to sense the connection with a clarity that frightens them at first. They start seeing you differently, not as a possibility, but as destiny, not as a chapter, but as alignment, not as a memory, but as a calling. And that realization begins transforming them quietly, subtly, consistently. Their conversations shift, their priorities shift, their heart softens. You appear in their thoughts at the exact moment God needs to redirect their spirit. This awakening is the turning point. It marks the moment when the connection stops being one-sided. It becomes mirrored, reflected, balanced. Heaven begins pulling both souls toward the same spiritual center, not simultaneously, but synchronously. They feel what you felt. They question what you questioned. They crave what you've been spiritually craving all along. But before you assume this awakening guarantees immediate movement, wait, because the seventh proof will reveal the final shift, the moment when doubt collapses, timing aligns, and the divine story begins unfolding in real time. Something is about to click into place, and you need to be prepared for what comes next. The seventh proof, the divine inner shift, from fear to certainty. The seventh proof is the most unmistakable of all. The moment heaven removes the fog from your heart and reveals what your spirit has been sensing all along. There comes a turning point where the confusion disappears, almost like a curtain being pulled back after a long, heavy night. The doubts that once clouded your mind begin to lose their power. The anxiety that once whispered worst-case scenarios suddenly quiets. The fear of being wrong, of being hurt, of repeating the same old patterns, it dissolves. And in its place rises something you haven't felt in a long time: clarity. This clarity isn't a loud declaration. It doesn't come with fireworks or grand emotions. It comes gently, steadily, like a sunrise you didn't notice until the light touched your skin. It's the moment when your heart finally says, "This is different. This is God." And when that realization settles inside you, everything shifts. You stop trying to force answers. You stop wrestling with the unknown. You stop searching for constant confirmation, because the confirmation moves inward. The shift isn't emotional, it's spiritual. This spiritual shift changes the way you see the entire connection. You no longer cling out of fear, you stand in quiet confidence. You no longer chase signs desperately, you recognize the ones already placed in your path. You no longer worry about timing, you begin to trust the process. And this trust doesn't feel like blind hope. It feels like alignment. Like something inside you finally clicked into place and said, "I understand now." When God aligns your heart with His plan, certainty becomes a form of peace you can't explain, but you also can't deny. This inner shift also transforms how you interpret everything that happened before. The confusion now looks like preparation. The separation now looks like strategy. The silence now looks like protection. You begin to realize that nothing about this connection was wasted. Every delay, every pause, every unanswered question was a tool God used to shape you spiritually. The clarity doesn't come from getting what you want. It comes from becoming who you were meant to be before the blessing arrives. And here's the mystery. When this divine certainty awakens in you, something awakens in them as well. Without speaking, without seeing each other, without forcing anything, your energies begin to align. It is as if God flips a spiritual switch that connects two growing souls at the same frequency. And suddenly, the fear that once made you question everything becomes the very thing God transforms into unwavering inner strength. This shift marks the beginning of the end of doubt. It prepares you for the moment when heaven is ready to move visibly, not just spiritually. And right when you think the journey has settled into understanding alone, that's when God reveals the final piece. That's when the story reaches a threshold. Because after certainty comes manifestation. The moment the divine story steps out of the unseen and enters your real life. And that moment is what we're about to step into next. Listen closely, because everything you've heard in this message has been leading you right here, to the moment where truth sinks deeper than fear, where your spirit finally catches up with what God has been whispering to you for so long. God does not place a divine partner in your soul to torment you. He does not let a connection reach this depth just to watch it collapse. He does not awaken a love this profound, only to let it die in silence. When heaven marks two souls with purpose, that bond becomes an instrument, shaping you, stretching you, maturing you, healing wounds you didn't even know were still bleeding. This connection has been transforming you from the inside out because heaven has been preparing you for a love that reflects Him. And hear me with your spirit. When the moment arrives, and it will, it won't come wrapped in confusion. It won't come with chaos. It won't come with fear. It will arrive with clarity so sharp it cuts through every doubt you ever had. It will arrive with peace so deep it silences every old wound. It will arrive with alignment, with purpose, with timing that feels supernatural, because what God authors, God finishes. What God unites, God strengthens. What God assigns, God protects. You are not imagining this connection. You are not exaggerating what you feel. If your spirit has been recognizing this person with a depth your mind can't explain, it's because heaven recognized them first. Your soul picked up on what God wrote long before your eyes saw the evidence. So breathe, stay open, stay grounded, stay expectant. You are not waiting alone. The divine story is still unfolding. The shift is already in motion, and the moment God has aligned for you will not pass you by. Now declare with faith, power, and certainty in the comments, I trust the signs God reveals to me. Write it boldly, because that declaration is not just engagement, it is agreement with heaven. Your story isn't over, it's beginning, and what comes next will change everything.